But Brandon, let's move on into our next topic, and we're kind of shifting over to the football field as we are officially on draft watch. 25 days until the NFL draft as we sit here April 1st. That's what I love.
Happy April Fools!
We are finally in April. It is now NFL draft time. Like, it's been draft time. Like, let's be honest, we've been talking draft, but for the most part, we are now in the final stretch before we get to Nashville on April 26th. And Brandon, the big thing we're going to talk about here is we're going to take a look at all the top 5 quarterbacks. We've got Kyler Murray. We've got Dwayne Haskins. You've got Drew Lock. You've got Daniel Jones. And we've got Will Grier. Where are these guys going to be drafted? Because nobody knows. Could be the Cardinals, could be the Giants, could be the Dolphins. People could be trading up, people could be trading down. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each prospect one after another and kind of give our thoughts about what teams could look at him, what kind of the landscape is right now, and then our thoughts of who he gets drafted with. We're going to go right down the rankings, and if you look at, and I'm going right down the rankings according to tankathon.com, and for quarterbacks, they've got Kyler Murray listed as the numero uno quarterback on their list. So, Brandon, the first thing I'm going to ask you before we get into the prediction, because we're going to talk about each guy, is what are your thoughts about Murray, his draft stock, and kind of the draft landscape right now with him as we move into the month of April?
So I just think it's so interesting because truly not too long ago, we weren't even counting on Kyler Murray to be in this draft.
Well, he
was going to be a baseball player. He was going to be a baseball player.
I remember Dave told me, he's like, well, Kyler Murray could go in the first round. I'm like, no way he skips out on baseball. I was wrong. But let's be honest, he could be drafted by a team, not play year one, and go, hey, I'm going to go back to baseball. Because he seemed very non-committal.
And baseball would gladly take him back.
Yeah. Well, the A's would gladly take him back.
Yeah. And as many of our viewers and listeners know, I really like Kyler Murray. I think he's a fun and exciting talent. I think that if he gets paired with the right coach, and don't try and tell me that, if you're a get paired with the right coach kind of guy in the right system, then you're just a system quarterback. A lot of people have been saying that about Tom Brady for years. Tom Brady just keeps winning Super Bowls. He don't care. It's one of those things where if you find the right situation, you can be extremely successful. It's just like in any job. You find the right situation, you can be still extremely successful. You're in a situation that's crap, even as hard as you try, it's not going to work out. But I look at Kyler Murray, and I think that you pair him up with Cliff Kingsbury, you pair him with an offensive guy with an offensive mind, it could be something really good. And I understand that Arizona drafted Josh Rosen last year and believed that was going to be their guy at number 10, and Rosen believed, I should have been higher. This was a guy, Josh Rosen, that wasn't even sure if he was all that interested in football anymore. So I still will question is he all in on football? You look at the Arizona Cardinals, I understand that they were not a great team last year. They've tried to update some pieces on defense. Their offensive line has still not been touched too much, but I think that if you have Kyler Murray on that team, you're going to get a guy who, even if an offensive line's not great, his running ability and his escapability is going to make him a better suited quarterback for that situation. And I just think that he's going to be able to get the ball down the field better than what Josh Rosen was able to do. So if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm drafting Kyler Murray as number 1.
Yeah,
you're not.
I'm on the opposite side of you. And the reason why is, first off, the Cliff Kingsbury love, you can't say it's a smokescreen because he basically showed his hand before he even knew he was going to be the Cardinals head coach. But the thing that I think about when it comes to the Cardinals is quarterback is not your biggest negative. It is not your biggest need. Like, if you draft Kyler Murray at number 1, great. Who's he going to throw the fucking ball to? Who's going to block for him? Nobody.
I can tell you first. I can give you an answer for the first one.
Larry Fitzgerald is not enough. Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk are not enough for him. Like, yes, he would be getting David Jones back.
Are you sure? Because the Giants were perfectly fine with saying, Eli, throw it to Odell every time. We'll win.
And where are they in the draft?
I understand, but
exactly.
What I'm saying is that you can be successful with a couple of guys on there. You can also be successful with some guys that don't have to be number one name guys and the biggest paid guys.
The point I'm making is the Cardinals are in a weird situation of, to me, there's obviously three choices that they have to make. Number one, do you draft Kyler Murray because your head coach loves him and he'd fit that system? That's number one. Number two, do you help your defensive line out, which is a need for this team? That could be Joey Bosa. I know people are Nick Bosa. I've called him Joey the whole time, and you just got to correct me. Just keep saying that. Nick Bosa. I know you've got Chandler Jones there. I know you just signed Terrell Suggs, but let's be honest. Terrell Suggs is not going to be there forever.
He signed a one-year contract?
Bingo. So Nick Bosa would still get to play and learn under them. Number two, you could go with Quinnen Williams, number one. And that's the second option. Do you go defense, Bosa and Williams? Because right now your defensive tackles are Darius Pillin and Corey Davis. Yeah, I would take freaking... I know they have Robert Condici on this team too, but like I would take Quinnen Williams over either of the two guys that I just listed for a defensive tackle. And then there's number three. Do you trade the pick? Do you try to coerce someone who really wants... Do you try to coerce someone who really wants Kyler Murray to try to get a... Yes, you would get a lower pick, but looking at this draft, I look at all the needs that NFL.com has listed for him. Offensive line. If you're still in the top 10, you could probably get Jonah Williams. That would help you out. Wide receiver, DK Metcalf would be there. He would help you out. Tight end, Hockenson, apparently on mock drafts, like Hockenson is rising up into top 10 status. I don't see it personally. I don't see Noah Fant or Hockenson being top 10 guys.
Well, I don't know.
But I've been wrong before.
I don't know how Noah Fant isn't being talked about as the number one guy. That's the thing. That's more
athleticism over production. Hockenson had more of the production. Noah Fant is an athletic guy. I get that kind of.
Noah Fant had outstanding production. I guess I just don't understand where the disconnect is for people.
Hockenson had the better stats. Like Noah Fant is good, but stats, production, Hockenson's were better than Fant. But either way, you could get a tight end later in the draft if you truly wanted to. Don't think you need to get that in the first round. And then cornerback, Greedy Williams could be sitting there if you go. And I'm thinking about teams like the Raiders, the Giants, the Dolphins, the Redskins, that are the quarterback-needy teams that would be trading up for Kyler Murray. Am I saying they should trade the pick? No. If I am the Cardinals, I stand pat and go, you know what? We have Josh Rosen on this team. Josh Rosen can fit Kingsbury's situation. I go with Nick Bosa because I am going with a guy that then could be my pass rusher for the future, and I can get after other quarterbacks. And if I suck next year and I'm the number one pick next year, then Josh Rosen's out the door because I get Tua Tagovailoa. Like, that's what I sit with. So Murray, that's the whole reason why I don't see him going to the Cardinals.
So, you know, I saw it was a post the other day. It was Adam Schefter, and he had put something. I follow him. He does all the tracking of the NFL, as I'm sure you do too. You don't have an Instagram, but I follow him on Instagram, and
he's got Twitter.
One of his things was Nick Bosa, and that the Cardinals were meeting with him, and he said, they're, a dynasty, not a dynasty. Well, what was it? Maybe some sort of, the fate of team changing, whatever, decision is coming soon. And I'm thinking franchise, altering. The only way that you alter this franchise and make them better, Nick Bosa is not going to get you 7 wins. It's not going to happen. Kyler Murray could get you 7 wins. Ricky, you say it all the time.
Yeah.
Quarterback is the #1 most important position on the field, and you say it all.
Followed by pass rusher.
And you say it all that you've never said followed by pass rusher. I can quote you. You've never said that.
I've always said the two most important.
You've always said #1 is quarterback.
#1 is quarterback, but
you've never followed with a #2.
Right behind, and I am now because I've said in the past that the two most important positions in football are a quarterback and somebody who can get after the quarterback. Those are the two things you need in this NFL. And the only thing with the Cardinals that I'm looking at is, could Kyler Murray help you in the long run? Yes. But the thing I also look at is this team is not the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns last year could take a stab at a Baker Mayfield #1 because they had a second first-round pick to use. They had the Houston first-round pick to use in that first round. So, hey, let's go take a gamble. Let's take the guy that we want because we have another first-round pick in this draft. The Cardinals do not have that. So what I'm saying is, if they take Kyler Murray and he doesn't hit and he's not a Baker Mayfield, that is then a mistake. And of course, this is drafting. Anything in the draft could be a mistake. It's not an exact science. But I look at it and I go, you just drafted a quarterback last year. Josh Rosen was only bad in my mind because he didn't have a real head coach. He didn't have an offensive head coach. He had a head coach that I didn't even think deserved the job when he got it. And you're expecting him to be great with what he was set up with last year? He was set up to fail last year.
I wasn't expecting him to be great. I was expecting him to be better than piss poor.
Well, and I mean, I put more of the blame. I think Josh Rosen was not set up for success in Arizona, and that played a lot into it.
I don't think he was mentally tough. I don't think that he was mentally tough, as part of it is all a mental game, and you've got to stop, you've got to get outside of your own head, and you've got to just go out there and play the game. And that's not something that Josh Rosen was able to do. And I just, unless he is taking 100-foot leap from last year to this year, Josh Rosen is not going to be anyone's quarterback of the future.
Here,
for any team.
I'm going to read this to you. If you're a quarterback and you were sacked 17 times in under 2.5 seconds, 17 sacks essentially before you can 5-step with a hitch, are you going to succeed in the NFL?
Probably most quarterbacks would not, but I think
that's how many times Josh Rosen was sacked in 2.5 seconds. So before he could even take 5 steps back, boom, he's getting met by somebody. Like, that's how bad the Cardinals' offensive line is. So, like, for me, I don't care if Kyler Murray's back there. Yeah, he can run. Okay, he's going to run and get caught. Like, I don't think we're going to see the same exact Kyler Murray that we saw in college. Look at Lamar Jackson. Did Lamar Jackson have the same type of runs in the NFL that he had in college? No, because the guys are bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah, he was pretty phenomenal.
He was pretty elusive, but what was the whole thing with Lamar Jackson of he's got to stop relying on his feet and rely on his arm a little bit more. And then when he relied on his arm, oh crap, that's his weakness, and the Chargers beat him.
But see, that's where Kyler Murray's different. No, that he's probably not
but we don't know that. We haven't seen him at the next level
yet. But this is different in terms of, we knew Lamar Jackson's strength coming into the NFL was going to be his running ability. He was a passer. He was a good passer in college. He was a great runner. We most likely expected him to be a great runner and rely on that a lot come the NFL, and then be a good passer. Kyler Murray was both. I think a really phenomenal passer and an outstanding runner. So if he runs a little bit too much and then they push him to pass, I'm taking the example of Lamar, he's going to be more comfortable passing and moving the football that way. I know that we don't want to make it all about Kyler Murray because there's more quarterbacks, but my final comment is the Arizona Cardinals, they would be doing themselves a favor by going with Kyler Murray at #1 and trading away Josh Rosen to literally anyone.
Here's the thing I think, and this is if the Cardinals really want a quarterback. If you want to replace Josh Rosen, if I'm the Cardinals, I'd rather go Nick Bosa at 1 and take Will Grier with the 2nd-round pick. That's what I
Why Bosa?
Because
why Bosa?
To me,
why not Quinnen Williams?
or Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen, Nick.
Either or.
I don't understand
Either or.
See, if people were talking more Quinnen Williams, I'd be a little bit more.
I like the pass.
Him. I'm not sure about.
I say Nick Bosa because I like the pass rush on the end. But if you said Quinnen Williams, I'd say yeah, sure, do that also. And if you really want a quarterback, try to get Will Grier right at the beginning of the second round because I like Will Grier. You're a big supporter of him. I don't think he's going to be bad. He's just going to need more time to develop. When it comes to, since you said Cardinals for Kyler Murray, I'm actually going to segue this into a different team that I think will be a prediction for one of these guys. I don't know who it is for you. It could be none of these guys, but it is for me. I'm going to say Kyler Murray will be, and Oakland A fans, cover your ears, he's going to be a Raider. He is going to be a Raider because of either one of three ways. Either the Raiders make a trade with the Cardinals go with somebody else, and then the Raiders trade up to 2 or 3, probably 2, to get him, or he falls all the way to 4. That's the unlikely one, and the Raiders take him. I think that there's only 2 places that Kyler Murray will go. It's either yours or mine. He either goes number 1 to the Cardinals, or he either goes to the Raiders via trade. I don't think he falls to 4, because if he gets to 3, the Jets are on the phone calling everyone. Jets are like, pick is open. We don't want Kyler Murray. You guys can have him. Somebody will then trade up for him at 3. But I think if the Cardinals don't pick him, and that's what I'm thinking, go with Nick Bosa. You met with him. He's going to give you a pass rush off the outside. John Lynch then goes, well, you know what? We could take Quinnen Williams here. But I've traded with teams before that wanted their quarterbacks. And if John Lynch feels like he can trade back and still get his guy, like when he traded with the Bears, expect the Raiders then to trade up, or the Giants to trade up, or somebody to trade up. I think it's going to be the Raiders. I think Kyler Murray, it's going to be the biggest story, too, of like he left the Oakland A's and now he's going to the Oakland Raiders. And then even worse, he's going to be in Oakland for a year and then he goes to Las Vegas. So Oakland gets to see him for 1 year and then he's in Las Vegas. But that's the thing I want to segue into. First off, are the Raiders even a team that you think any of these guys will go to? And number 2, do you think they will go with a quarterback because of Derek Carr, or could they chief it and say, we're still going to take a guy and eventually treat Derek Carr like Alex Smith?
I don't think that they're sold on Derek Carr. I really don't.
Because they've met with Haskins and Murray.
We saw the number of times that Gruden and Derek Carr were not on the same page. Mm-hmm. They were not happy with each other. And I understand that that's going to happen throughout a season. A head coach and a quarterback are not going to be on the same page with each other. And it's okay. You can argue. You can fight. That's fine. It's the competitiveness in both of you. I'm okay with that. But I don't think that Derek Carr is John Gruden's guy. And John Gruden has always been known as the quarterback guy, right?
Yep.
He loves his quarterbacks. And
he also had said at the Senior Bowl how he likes Kyler Murray.
I guess I just think that it's when, a new head coach comes in, he wants to evaluate everyone on his staff, and he'll either keep some, hold some over, or he's going to get rid of everybody and bring in his own guys. He's looking at the same thing for the rest of the talent. Mm-hmm. Are these guys good? Are we going in a different direction? Do I have to hold and go with them for 1 year? And in this case, yes, he did. Mm-hmm. But now he's in a position, it's his draft. People can say Mike Mayock's doing it. He's not. It's Gruden.
I will say, Mike Mayock is probably helping out more than people might think, because John Gruden had a draft last year, and who did he take in the first round? Colton Miller. He took a guy that all of us went, who? Why is he in the first round? What is John Gruden doing? That's why Mike Mayock is here. Yes, it's Gruden's draft. Gruden's going to do it. But if Gruden has a thought like that, Mayock's going to step in and go, hey, John, let's think about this for a second.
I think that there's going to be a quarterback going that way to the Oakland Raiders.
Because
I'm not sure who it's going to be at this point, just because it hasn't happened yet. Well, in terms of the top 3 picks before them, it hasn't happened. So
And we're kind of predicting. That's why I ask if one of these guys is going to be one of yours that you picked there.
It may end up being a Dwayne Haskins.
I want to read this though. Read some quotes from Mike Mayock, because it's funny you say Haskins, because the Raiders are working out both Murray and Haskins. Of course, due diligence. You can always say that. But I've got two quotes here from CBS Sports from Mike Mayock. First one is, information is gold, and it always will be. We all know that John Gruden is a quarterback guy. John's going to evaluate every quarterback out there every single year. That's just who he is. Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback. I do believe that. We had Drew Lock at the Senior Bowl. He's a potential first-round pick, and we got to work with him for a week. We did our due diligence. We're going to see Kyler Murray, and we're going to see Dwayne Haskins in private workouts. We believe they're high-level quarterbacks, and that's due diligence. You'd better know how good these guys are. You'd better know what other teams are interested in, and whether or not you can improve your own position. That's part of what a head coach and GM do to evaluate every position on your football team. You owe it to your team to do the best job you can, to upgrade where you can. And I said this back at the NFL Combine, I don't think there are very many people who are better than Derek Carr. I read into that as two things. One, we got to say that Derek Carr's our guy. We can't back off. Like John Gruden even said, Derek Carr, he's going to be our quarterback. I'm not going to address all the rumors. I could care less about the rumors. He threw for 4,100 yards, threw for almost 70% completions in a very dire, tough circumstance. So I have a lot of confidence in Carr, what he can do. Antonio Brown and Tyrell Williams and Trent Brown coming in here will help our offensive line with a better defense. Yeah, I'm excited about Carr. Basically, John Gruden's answer. I just see that as, we're not going to shit talk our guy. We're going to shit talk Derek Carr, but I think the only quarterback that the Raiders might think about going with is Kyler Murray. That's the only one on the board that I think, like, Drew Lock was nice. I don't think he's top 4 pick worthy for the Raiders. I don't think Dwayne Haskins will have Gruden fallen in love. I think Kyler Murray could. And if the Cardinals pass on him, the Gruden gears are going to be turning, because he's going to be like, oh, that's a Gruden grinder. I need Kyler Murray, man.
I don't know with the Raiders. I really don't. I mean, there could... Because
they're like the Cardinals. They don't need a quarterback.
But
it's different because Derek Carr's a proven veteran. Josh Rosen is.
Here's also the thing: is that Derek Carr, a couple of
maybe we shouldn't play with that.
I like to though very much. It's like a fidget spinner, except it's not.
Dave does the same thing, by the way. He plays with the camera thing.
Oh, I mean,
so I got to keep it away with him.
I don't blame him. It's a fun little toy.
Like a toddler with toys. Just got to keep it away from you.
It's a fun little toy. Very scary when you drop it though. Derek Carr a couple of years ago, gosh, I think a lot of people, including me, thought, man, this guy is headed for an illustrious career. Then he got hurt. And then, not necessarily because of the injury, but just things working in Oakland haven't been the same since. And it's not all Derek Carr, but it gets to be the point where, is it time to try something else? And Oakland is priming themselves for a new look. They've done it. They've already done it. They've got a new look. They're a new look team. Khalil Mack is gone. He's with the Bears. They've given themselves a new look. We actually care again about our team.
Yeah.
The Oakland Raiders, they did that in this offseason. They got Antonio Brown. They now care about their team again. They get Tyrell Williams. He's fine. They get Trent Brown. He was good. I think he's probably well overpaid at this point, but I look at Derek Carr and I think, are you stale? They're trying to get a makeover. Are you part of the makeover team, or are they going to try and make you over with the new biggest, shiniest toy to put in and play with all the rest of them? That's where I kind of think Oakland could very well be going for a quarterback. And that's why I still think that a guy like, even if Kyler Murray's not there, A guy like Dwayne Haskins possibly could still be in play. They won't go with the Drew Lock. They won't go with a Daniel Jones. They won't go with any of those other guys.
Because Kyler or nobody.
Well, yeah, because if you go with any of those other three, you're basically getting Derek Carr, 2.0. Not to say that they're the same as Derek Carr, but you're getting the same types of things.
Well,
you're not.
The thing I just want to throw this out there. They do have 2 picks later on, which does.
They've got 19 picks in the first draft. In the first round,
19 of 32.
They have 19 of 32. All of the Raiders, but I guess they would want to go with that dynamic, player. That's what the Oakland Raiders are trying to get back to. The minute they went with Antonio Brown, Derek Carr, as excited as he probably was that Antonio Brown was coming, do you think maybe a little piece of him was thinking, crap, they're going to continue to try and go with this dynamic feel? Maybe it wasn't, but I would be worried in the back of my mind if you're the Oakland Raiders sitting there with the number 4 pick and knowing that you have another pick in the first round, that you have some
2 picks.
You have, well, I was not incorrect. You have at least another pick in the first round.
Yeah, 2.
But you have the freedom to go with a guy in the first 4 picks at number 4 that is a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun, a little bit more dynamic. That would be a Kyler Murray. That would be a Dwayne Haskins, possibly. I don't know if Oakland will do that, but it would make sense in the way that they are moving with their team.
And just so everyone doesn't think that Brandon was serious, the Raiders don't have 19 picks. They have only 3 in the first round. They have 8 total picks of the 7.
The use of hyperbole.
Yeah, so they've got 3 firsts, a second, a 4th, a 5th. And then 2 7th-round picks to make their 8. For me, I just feel like the way I have it going, Kyler Murray to the Raiders, only because I don't have the Cardinals going with Kyler Murray at the top of the draft. Also, you look at it with those 2 other picks. If you're sitting there going, but Ricky, John Gruden said we really need a pass rush. We really need one. What's this draft deep in, Brandon? What side of the ball?
The defensive side.
Defensive side. So not only could a guy like maybe Brian Burns be available at that 24 and 27th pick, but also if you really like a guy, they could package 1 or 2 of those picks to move up in the first round to grab a pass rusher that they really like. So like the Raiders have some capital to move and maybe take a risk on a Kyler Murray because, hey, we've got those picks later on, or they could say, hey, we like Drew Lock. We're going to use our pass rusher here, and we're going to use these few picks here to trade up into the middle rounds maybe to get a Daniel Jones or a Drew Lock. I'm looking at Drew Lock if they do that because they worked him out. But yeah, I just asked you about the Raiders mainly because I'm going to say Kyler Murray. That's who I'm predicting him to go with. So are you saying Haskins is the one you're are you putting the Raiders as your prediction for Dwayne Haskins? Is that what you were saying? Or are you kind of uncommittal about that and just want to talk about Haskins?
I'm uncommittal. Okay. I'm uncommittal. Outside of number 1, I'm uncommittal. I don't have to make a mock draft, so I choose not to.
But hopefully you're going to be a part of our live mock draft, so you'll have some teams that you're drafting.
I do hope that I will be able to. My thought, I really enjoyed our conversation that we had. What was it? Was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where you had me thinking about a team moving up to number 3?
It was about Lock
and Lock, and I wonder, and I'm playing around with that idea still in my mind, but I'm playing around more with, and I don't think that they would probably do it.
Can I guess? Is it the Dolphins?
No,
the Redskins.
The Redskins was the one. It was the team you had me thinking about last week. It's the Broncos, and the reason why I say that I don't know if they do it is because they have Joe Flacco. They have their placeholder for this year, but so do supposedly the Redskins, and so do supposedly the Dolphins. How committed are they on those placeholders? because we all know they're placeholders.
Joe Flacco's got 3 years left on his deal.
Yeah, but until Joe Flacco.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, and that's the
Joe
difference.
Flacco got replaced by a guy who's a better runner than a passer.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Where I'm going to take a look. I know Case Keenum is done after this year, so the Redskins are in dire need afterwards.
Yeah. 2 years for
2 years for Fitzy, 3 years for Flacco, 1 year for Keenum.
I really could see the Washington Redskins jumping up into the top part of that draft to grab a quarterback this year, because if they're in the same spot, if they're mediocre again next year, and they're in that spot again of 10 to 15, 12 to 15, they're not getting Tua. They're not getting Trevor Lawrence. They're not even in on the discussion with those guys. Why not try and go and get one of those solid quarterbacks that is there this year? And they're going to be available, especially when so many teams are looking defense. And Washington needs a makeover with everything. But why not go and get that quarterback right now? So when we were talking about that last week, you really had me thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a little bit, and I think that makes sense.
And that's why I feel like I'm going to change my mind a little bit. Cardinals go at Nick Bosa. Niners stay put. They say, hey,
they don't go with anybody.
We could trade. They're like, we're going to go with Quinnen Williams. Like, that's who we're going to go with. We need a defensive guy. But then the Jets get there. I wonder if we see a similar trade to what we saw when the Bears took Mitch Trubisky, where the Raiders look at it and go, hey, John, you really like Kyler? Let's try to make a deal with the Jets. And I could see the Jets, even if the Raiders are like, well, the Jets aren't going to go quarterback, why would we trade with them? I could see the Jets trying to play the Raiders in the sense of, hey, we got other teams calling. We got the Giants, the Dolphins, the Redskins. They're on the line. Either you move up and trade with us, or Kyler Murray's not going to be here. And that's why I could see the Jets and Raiders possibly making a deal. The Jet pick, though, I do believe, on draft night is going to be traded. They will not be picking at number 3, because I feel like even if Kyler Murray goes 1, somebody's going to trade up for Locke or Haskins. And if Kyler Murray's there, if all the quarterbacks are there at 3, there's no way in hell the Jets are making that pick at 3. They would be stupid to make that pick at 3 because of the draft capital they could add for this draft and next year's draft as well, just based off how many quarterback-needy teams there are. So that's why with that pick, I don't know who's going to trade for it. Somebody is going to trade for that pick. But which prospect, because we're going to predict all of them, which prospect do you want to hit next for a prediction? Kind of thoughts of where they could go, and then a prediction, either Haskins or Locke. Do you want to go Haskins because we paired him and Murray together, or do you want to talk about Drew Lock?
Let's talk about Drew Lock.
What do you think about, like, where do you think, I know we talked about him last week. What are your thoughts on Drew Lock? Where could he be going? Yeah, the wild card, right?
So
you picked the Joker card.
Here's the thing. Here's another team though that jumps out of, is it time for us to get a makeover and do something different at quarterback? And that's the Cincinnati Bengals. And I understand they've got Andy Dalton, blah, 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 but how long are they going to continue to not win with Andy Dalton, especially in a division that, I don't want to say it's up for grabs, but I want to say it just became a whole lot more open in terms of, everyone now thinks the Browns are going to go out there for it and win it. People are no longer high on Pittsburgh. You've got the Baltimore Ravens that are there that have done some things here in the offseason. People think their defense, they've lost so much. The Cincinnati Bengals, how much longer are they going to continue to be blah? They've got a great running back in Joe Mixon. They've got a great wide receiver in A.J. Green. They've got a great wide receiver in Tyler Boyd. Is it time to go for that quarterback to actually get them over the hump, to make them a playoff team? The Cincinnati Bengals could surprise. I know in some mock drafts they've got Jonah Williams, the offensive tackle from Alabama, going to them. But Could they surprise? Could they jump up? Or even at 11, not even jump up, but at 11, take Drew Lock?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have been a weird one for me because I haven't bought it. Like, you're not the first one to throw it out there. There's a couple people that have had that thought of, like, is Andy Dalton the future in Cincy? I just haven't, like, there's been no teeth to that for me. It's like just biting with your gums. And I don't feel like the Bengals are going to make a move. I feel like if there's a prospect the Bengals should go with in the first round, it's Devin White, the linebacker out of LSU. Like, he's the guy that I really want the Bengals to go with. For me, Drew Lock is an interesting one because I think that for me, there's only two teams I see him going to, and that's either the Dolphins or the Redskins. And the reason why I'm going to say the Redskins is because, so he's meeting with the Giants. The Giants are a possibility. I already have a different quarterback that I'm going to predict that the Giants go with. Drew Lock, to me, I don't really, like, off the top of my head, I don't have a for sure team like, yes, that is where he is going to go, because the Giants, they're going to go with a different guy. They're not going to go with the guy that many think. So I'll say this. They're not going to go with Dwayne Haskins. So where does that put Dwayne Haskins? Where does that put Drew Lock? And that's where I think we're going to see a little bit of a shuffle. Does a team like the Broncos get into the discussion? Does a team like the Dolphins move up? Does a team like the Redskins? And I honestly think that Drew Lock, I'm going to say the Redskins because he's going to meet with the Redskins. I feel like the Redskins are going to try to move up for a quarterback. If it's right, I will go Drew Lock goes to Washington, although I'm very unsure about where he goes because I feel he could be one that fluctuates depending on if a team wants to move up for him or kind of wait and see if he falls to them at 13. I actually want to jump to a guy. Because do you have anything else to say on Drew Lock? Are you locking in the Bengals for your prediction? Yeah, you don't know. You're like me. You're not.
You know what?
Locked in.
You know what? I'm gonna say no one's gonna. No one's gonna agree with me, but I'm gonna lock in the Bengals for fun. I'm gonna lock in the Bengals for fun for Drew Lock.
Kyler Murray, you've got Cardinals. I've got Raiders. Drew Lock, you've got Bengals. I've got Redskins. I want to skip Haskins. I want to push that can down the road for a bit. Daniel Jones. I'm going to shock you. You ready for it?
Sure.
He's going 17th overall to the Giants. The Giants are going to take a pass rusher at 6. They will take Daniel Jones at 17. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that the Giants, they've met with Haskins. Yeah, they're meeting with Locke. Depending on how those meetings go, I think the Giants, either one of two things happen. They take a Haskins or Locke at 6, or depending on if a team trades above them, whether if quarterbacks go like crazy before them, I really do think I'm starting to see, although Mark and I talked about it and I said I wouldn't go with that, after seeing the Giants and kind of looking what's going on draft-wise, I kind of have a feeling that the Giants will be that team to go, hey, you know what? Quarterback is a need of ours, but we've got several other needs. They need defensive line help. They need cornerback help. They need wide receiver. They need offensive line. They go with one of those at 6, and then at 17, try to get a Daniel Jones, and that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback that goes to the Giants, and he is the 17th overall pick, the one that they got from the Cleveland Browns.
And I'm going to say that Daniel Jones goes 32nd to the New England Patriots.
So you think he's going to go bottom of the first round?
He's going to go bottom of the first round. I don't see Daniel Jones as that. There's not one thing that you look at Daniel Jones and he goes, wow, he is just phenomenal at this. He is okay in all these things. Well,
he's really good at short passes.
So is Eli Manning.
It's pushing the ball down the field that Daniel Jones has a little bit of accuracy issues.
I think he goes to the Patriots. He becomes Tom Brady's replacement, who retired today, by the way. April Fools. But he did. He came out. He got a Twitter. This was Tom Brady's first Twitter.
Did he seriously say that?
This is his first time on Twitter. He tweets and he says that basically along the lines of he's going to have all this free time on his hands now. He's just going to start tweeting. And then, of course, it was April Fools, and he was joking. So, but he's
clever on social media, especially with his Instagram stuff.
That actually did happen. But I'm going to say Daniel Jones to the Patriots. If there's anyone who could work with him, it would be Bill Belichick and that squad. Daniel Jones in this whole group of quarterbacks is always underwhelming. He's never been someone I really wanted to talk about because he just wasn't exciting to me. As the other guys, I think they all bring something. They either have phenomenal, arm strength to really work it down the field, or great poise and athleticism and vision and accuracy and escapability and all this. Daniel Jones is to me, yes.
Yeah.
But that's why I think 32nd to the Patriots seems understandable.
Quick aside. What do you think is a better option? If you are Bill Belichick, what is the option you go with? You got to pick either or. You draft Daniel Jones at 32, you trade for Josh Rosen. Which one are you doing?
Well, since the Cardinals are going to be trading away Josh Rosen.
I'm just saying, which one would you rather do? Draft Jones or trade for Rosen?
You know what? I'm going to trade for Rosen because while I don't like him, I think that if there's anyone to save him, it would be Bill Belichick.
And that's why for me, I'm gonna say it right now. I mean, I'm not gonna lock this in as a prediction, but Will Grier, if he did go to the Cardinals, I could see that being kind of I don't know if that's Rosen's asking price, but because the Patriots and Cardinals are right there at 32, 33, I could see the Cardinals being like, hey, if we're giving you Rosen, let's just flip those picks just so we can draft Grier in that first round and get that fifth-year player option on him, kind of like how Baltimore wanted Lamar in that first round.
So you're saying
so they can get that option.
Where was Will Grier going, are you saying?
I'm saying if he went to the Cardinals, I threw out earlier.
If Kyler went to the Cardinals?
No. I'm saying remember how I threw out earlier that if they really wanted a quarterback, they can go Nick Bosa at 1 and then take Will Grier with the first pick of the second round. Remember I threw that hypothetical out? I said if you're going to do that, what you could also do if you're the Cardinals is say to the Patriots, hey, we will trade you Josh Rosen, but we want to flip the 32 and the 33. So if they took a Will Grier at 32, then they're getting that fifth-year player option on Grier because they selected him in the first round, not the second round. Just wanted to throw that out there if that's a possible trade. So we've got Murray, we locked down. We've locked down. Jones, we've locked in. Yours might be easier than mine. Is Dwayne Haskins an easy lock for the Giants for you at 6?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Dwayne Haskins to the Giants.
Yeah, for me it's hard because I locked in Jones at 17 for the Giants. I don't know where Haskins then would go. Haskins and Locke are kind of then confusing to me because the Broncos could go quarterback, the Dolphins could go quarterback, the Redskins. Because I'm locking Drew in with Washington, because I have Jones going to the Giants, I'm going to say Dwayne Haskins goes to Miami, and Miami is actually going to trade up for him. Don't know who they're going to trade up with. I don't think he'll fall to 13. I think he gets traded. I think Miami is going to go with Dwayne Haskins. So, Murray, you've got Cardinals. I've got Raiders. Dwayne Haskins, you've got the Giants. I've got the Dolphins. Drew Lock, you've got the Bengals. I've got the Redskins. And then Daniel Jones, you've got the Patriots. I've got the Giants. Last but not least, the guy that I think is going in the second round, Will Grier. What do you think of him? Where is he going?
So you already have him first pick, second round of the Cardinals?
No. I didn't lock that in. I was just, that's a hypothetical.
Not locking it in. It's not locked in. It's not locked in.
That is a hypothetical.
So I am going to go with Will Grier at, I'm not going to say at a spot, but I'm going to say that Will Grier is going to go to the Dolphins.
You think so?
I do.
Do they trade? I know you said not a spot, but would they have to trade up then? Because they're all the way at 48.
No, they probably they probably wouldn't have to. I think the Dolphins will get him. I thought about the Redskins, but the Redskins just have the Redskins got no one to throw to. That's the big problem. Is their best probably wide receiver went away, and where did he go? To the Jets. Why can't I think of his name right now? Small guy, speedster, slot guy.
I'll look it up. You go with your thought.
Okay, so for the Dolphins though, they want to. The Dolphins want to play this whole
Crowder.
Yes, Jamison Crowder. Thank you. Yep, he went to the Jets. I think that with the Dolphins, they too are a little sore in terms of wide receivers and anyone who can catch the football, but they want to play this whole, we're waiting until next year. We're waiting until next year. I know they've got Ryan Fitzpatrick to try and bridge the gap. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. I don't think they're going to wait, not bridge the gap, but I don't think that they're going to be able to wait. It goes back to the conversation we had a week ago when we talked about Fitzpatrick may actually give them too many wins to be in a really good spot to go after one of the top quarterbacks next year, and then it's one of those, are we giving away everything to get a number 1 or number 2 pick? And do we want to do that? Do we want to fleece ourselves to get that number 1 guy or number 2 guy, number 1 or 2 quarterback? I think that the Dolphins, they need somebody, they need their future this year, and they can do that by going and drafting Will Grier.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Only because based off of where I've locked people in, I don't know where I want Will Grier to go. I'm going to ask you this question because this is a team I'm thinking about. How do you feel Will Grier fits with the offensive system? Of course, it's not going to be Vic that does the offense. It's going to be Scangarello, who does, I hope I said his last name right, Rich Scangarello, who does the offense for the Broncos. Could the Broncos be a good fit for Will Grier? Wouldn't have to start right away. They could let Joe Flacco be the guy while Will Grier kind of sits and learns and progresses. And could he be a guy that maybe takes 2 to 3 years, which fits the timeline because you could then give Joe Flacco the length of his contract to do what he's going to do?
Joe Flacco's not playing out that contract.
But
he's not.
It goes back to my original question. Is Will Grier the guy to fit the offense that Vic Fangio and company are going to be building with the Denver Broncos?
Well, they haven't told me yet, personally, what they're looking at for their offensive scheme. I have a feeling it's going to be based a lot on the run because right now that's their strong suit.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of young wide receivers that I think are going to be good and have shown some promise, but also last year it was a really hard year for Denver. Case Keenum could not get anyone the football. He struggled. He was not the same guy. And quarterback that you and your wonderful Vikings saw a year before that took them so close to the Super Bowl, that wasn't him. He was not the same guy last year, and it was really a shame because I was rooting for Case Keenum. But with Phillip Lindsay as the running back, a guy who I think can really carry the team for the Denver Broncos, did for anything that was good for Denver, it was probably Phillip Lindsay. Again, like I said, they've got some wide receiver, good, strong, I think, solid core of young wide receivers. Is it Deshaun Hamilton that's one of them? Cortland Sutton is another one. They've got some good guys there. And there's some guys who I think can get down the field. They've got Emmanuel Sanders as the veteran that's there leading the group. They need a guy who can get the ball down the field. Case Keenum struggled to be able to do that. A guy like Will Grier, he's got a strong arm. He did it all the time at West Virginia. He will be able to work the ball down the field. That is something I think that Denver will be looking at, a quarterback that can do that. Will Grier can. I know there's obviously a number of quarterbacks that people would say, well, they can all go down the field, except for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
But I think that he would be a guy who could fit the system. But again, it's what's Denver looking for. They're going to be, I think, more of a run system. Heavier run. And that's certainly where their strength is right now. But we'll see We'll see. We'll see how long Joe Flacco's going to stay there. You said he's got 3 years left. I'm telling you, he's not playing out all 3 of those years.
I would be surprised if he got to the end of that contract as a starter of the Broncos.
He's not.
I'm going to say this. I've changed my mind while you were talking.
Okay.
And that's because either one of two things is going to happen. Either Will Grier, originally I was thinking top of the second round, he could possibly fall to like bottom second round. And there's 2 teams I'm thinking about now, Patriots and Saints. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to say the Patriots pick up Will Grier. If it's something crazy, they pick him up with the 32 pick to get that 50-year option on him. I don't think they do that because that's not a Bill Belichick thing. But they have 2 picks in the second round. They have the Bear pick at 56. They've got their own pick at 64. The Saints are right there at 62. So I think if he goes to the Patriots, it'll be with that Bear pick at 56. That's where I'm going to lock in Will Grier. So Will Grier will be a New England Patriot, and we'll see if he then becomes the heir apparent to Tom Brady, because so far every quarterback that the Patriots have drafted, Tom Brady has outlived them all, and kind of is like, ha ha ha, joke's on you, I'm still here. Any final thoughts you have on these quarterbacks? Which I'll tell you right now, if you're mad where we put these guys, we're not going to be right come draft time.
I was just going to say, we have actually no idea where these guys are going to go.
Watch,
we don't.
People are going to get mad at me because I'm going to do my mock draft and think something totally different and not have one of these quarterbacks in the spot I said tonight. Yeah, so I'm prepared for that to happen as well. Because I've got this mock draft and my 7-round mock draft to do for the channel as well. So that should be fun. This is just like, these quarterbacks are all, it's going to be crazy to see where they go. Because even though it might not be as strong of a quarterback class that we thought we had last year, there are quarterback needy teams, and quarterbacks are like cream. The cream always, like Randy Savage said, "Oh, Mean Gene, the cream always rises to the top, Mean Gene." That's what happens with quarterbacks. When quarterbacks, we get to the draft, if there's enough of them, like dough, they're just going to rise to the top of the draft, and they usually go higher than they probably should in some situations. Any final thoughts on these quarterbacks before we move on?
No, but I can't believe that we are less than a month away now until the draft. It's very exciting.
As we're recording this April 1st, we are 25 days away from the NFL draft. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Where do you see these quarterbacks going? How stupid are we? How do you disagree or agree with our placement of these quarterbacks? Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.